Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to use our standard template for this project. We are simply going to copy our template, paste it in, and then we're going to rename the project to be our calculator. And then we're going to open that up in Visual Studio Code. Okay, next we're going to open up each of the files here. And we can minimize our Explorer. And we're going to start with our index.html file. So very first thing, we are going to change our title here to be calculator. And we're going to use word wrap, Alt-Z. And we're going to get rid of the Font Awesome import here. And we can now save that. And now we're ready to launch the project with Live Server down here in the corner. All right, perfect. So our project has launched and we can see that we have our title updated here. Excellent. Now we're ready to jump back and actually build out the UI elements we will need in our HTML. So we're going to scroll down a bit here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to comment out a title for our calculator. So this is the overall calculator element. And we're going to create a div for this. So we can use div dot to create the class of calculator and press enter. And you can see that this auto-completes for us. Very handy. Next, we're going to comment out a title for the display of the calculator. So this is going to be on top. And we'll have another div dot calculator dash display to give that the class of calculator display. And then inside of that, we're going to create an H1, and we're just going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, because we want to be able to see what our numbers look like in the font that we are going to select. That's all we need for our display. Next, we're going to need to create our buttons. So first, we're going to comment out a title for our buttons. Then we're going to create a div dot calculator dash buttons. So this is going to act as the container for our buttons. And then inside of this, we're going to create a lot of different buttons. We need buttons for our 4 operators at the top, then our 10 numbers, our decimal point, our clear button, and then our equal sign. So we're going to start out with creating a button, and we're also going to give it a value attribute. This is what we're going to use to actually pass into our JavaScript. So we're going to start out at the top here with our operator. So the first value is plus, and then we're going to put the value in here. We can scroll down, and we're actually going to just copy this now. So that's for our 4 operators, and then we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. And then we have our decimal, then we have our 10th number, then we have our clear button, and then we have our equal sign. I'm going to use the handy multi-select in order to replace both the value and what's actually being displayed in the button at the same time. So for example, if I highlight this and press Command D on Mac or Control D on Windows, you can see that I have both of them selected, and I'm going to change this now to minus instead of plus. So I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of the buttons. I'm just going to fast forward through that. Okay, so we can see that we have a bit of an interesting order here. So we go 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, decimal, 0. This will actually be the clear button, so I'll fix that in a second, and then we have our equal sign. So what we're essentially going to do is we're going to have 5 total rows of 4. So we want the 4 operators on the top, but then the rest of the 4 rows are going to actually only have 3 columns in them, because the 4th column will just be the equal sign for those 4 rows. So that's why we have split it up 3, 3, 3, 3, and then our equal sign is going to take up that entire 4th column, whereas on the top we have our full 4 columns. All right, so now that that's explained, we can see that the value in JavaScript for multiplication is the asterisk, and the value for divide is a slash, but we actually want to make it the sign that we are used to seeing on a calculator, so it's an X that's slightly different than a regular X, and then we also want the division sign as well. So in order to do that, I can actually just search for the symbol and then copy and paste it in. So we're going to go over to the browser, and I'm just going to search division symbol, and you can see it shows up right here, and I can just hover over it and copy it, and then jump back, and I'm going to just paste that in there. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to do the same thing with the multiplication symbol. Okay, so we have it here. I'm just going to copy this little guy here and jump back, and we're going to paste that in there. All right, cool. Now we have some other changes that we still need to make here to make this work properly. So the first thing is we're going to give these a class of operators. So all of these operators at the top. We're going to use this both for styling and actually to select it within our JavaScript. So we'll create the class operator, and then we'll copy it to the other 3 at the top here. We are going to be able to leave our numbers as they are, but if we go down to the decimal, we're also going to want to add the class of decimal. Again, we're going to use this to select it in our JavaScript. And then for our clear button, we're actually going to replace this with a class of clear. And we're going to give this one an ID of clear dash button, because we're going to use that to select it in the JavaScript. And then lastly, we're going to give the class for our equals sign of equals dash sign. So that's going to be for our special styling, because this button will look very different. And we're also going to give it the operator class, mainly so that we can select it as an operator within our JavaScript. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the HTML. Let's save that and jump over and check it out. Okay, so that is not looking amazing, of course, but everything is there. We have our numbers here, each one of each number, and we have all of our buttons here with the correct multiplication division symbol, and we have all our numbers, our decimal, and actually we need to change the value for this. Almost forgot. This should now be a C instead of a plus. So if we go back, well, we got to save it first. Save it, go back. Okay, now we have a C. That'll be our clear button. And we have our equal sign there as well. Alrighty, so in the next video, we're going to tackle some of the styling for this. I'll see you in that one. Bye for now.